Hello and welcome to this video on a particular example of maple species, and how, even within a wider category, you can find exceptions that you should be aware of. No, not that maple, but this kind. Maples are a broad range of trees. There are more than 132 species, all under the broad label of Acer. The most well recognized of these is perhaps the one used for maple syrup. There are, of course, Japanese maples, which are very common in bonsai. Even with that, there are some features common to just about all maple trees. This is the palm-shaped leaf. Each leaf has 5 projections that are serrated. Over the year, the maple tree goes from yellow, green to dark green, and these leaves then gradually turn orange and then brown as they die off in autumn. This is one of those things that makes the ghost maple unique. The leaves do not grow from a pale green colour. They begin from something along the lines of lavender to a deep purple, if not red, with black veins growing through it in spring. Over summer, they turn green while keeping a very subtle purple coloration, and then in fall they turn a deep crimson until they fall off and die. The leaves are also reticulated, which in this case refers to the fact that they're longer and then narrower. The incredible coloration makes it a spectacular tree, and its growth habit is very helpful. It is a very upright and narrow growing species, and this makes it ideal for small spaces like a bonsai pot. It also has a great deal more presence because of its coloration, and overall it is a great option for a bonsai where small size is the goal. That is the strength to the ghost maple, as distinct from any other maple. A very pretty species with a reasonably well-known growth habit and needs. There are, however, some very big downsides to a ghost maple that are much more significant if you're going to turn it into a bonsai. The first is that some branches may try and throw back to an older generation and start growing green leaves. These are green throughout the entire year, and the only time you get coloration is in autumn, as they begin to lose their chlorophyll and die off. The only way to deal with these is to remove those growing parts, whether they're branches or even part of the trunk. That is, you may be removing a branch or even the trunk, and it will not be consistent with the ghost maple, which is why you must remove it. For a bonsai, this can be a great detriment. It forces you to remove wanted growth and development if the branch starts to throw back to previous generations of its growth and development. Another concern is that the ghost maple requires a much more careful use of fertilizer. Using too much, and especially in spring, can cause the growth to only appear green. While perfectly suitable for a regular maple, this will undermine the choice of this species. Since this is a slow-growing species, the combination of having to remove growth and that growth turning green are losses that are perhaps more hard-felt than they would be with other specimens. What you need is a very slow-release fertilizer, and to use it very sparingly if this is not being grown in the ground for development purposes. The final concern with ghost maples is that nearly every example we have seen to date is a graft. In order to use it as a bonsai, you can choose either to accept the graft and work to hide it, or airlay your maple to remove this problem. Either option is going to be viable, but you need to be aware of the fact that this is something that you will need to deal with. The upside is that it really isn't any different to other maple species. That is, it's suitable in most climates except those that have extreme winters, where you'll need to protect it somewhat. You need to protect the maple from some of the extreme heat of summer, because you'll get leaf scorch. That the growth is somewhat delicate at first, but overall, it's not really any different to any other maple in that respect. You keep it growing in a very light soil with a lot of sand or loam, and as long as it's maintaining moisture and is well draining, you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever with the ghost maple, in terms of its maintenance. As you can see, ghost maples are a nice and different choice of maple species, but that uniqueness comes with some notable caveats that are slightly distinct from other maple species that you might be familiar with. And hopefully with this information, you'll know not only what to keep an eye out for, but how to handle some of these irregularities and deviances from the normal maple species. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it interesting, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions you have below.